First tonight, reflection, humility, and responsibility. That was the charge for the legal fraternity on Grand Bahama as they marked the beginning of the 2026 legal year. Our Italia Hall has the full message from Friday's church service. Plus, government says rent-to-own programs are a key part of its housing strategy. This as the cost of rent continues to rise. The housing minister gives an update on where that initiative currently stands. And later, from overcoming racism and insecurities to now holding the title of the Queen of Soca, our Danielle Miller chats one-on-one with the one and only Allison Hinds. We've got the details for these stories and so much more as Our News Weekend starts now. This is Our News Weekend. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Megan Shepard. The legal community on Grand Bahama officially marking the beginning of the 2026 legal year on Friday. Judges, attorneys, and court officials came together for a symbolic march, followed by a service centered on reflection, humility, and the responsibility of upholding justice. Italia Hall reports.
The start of a new legal year on Grand Bahama was marked with both tradition and purpose as members in the Judiciary gathered early Friday morning in Freeport. Those within the legal profession assembled outside the Garnet Lavardi Justice Center before proceeding in a ceremonial march to the Pro-Cathedral of Christ the King, where the procession came to an end. There, members of the judiciary and the wider legal community joined the clergy for a service centered on reflection, renewal, and the calling to serve justice with integrity. Rector Kirkland H. Russell delivered a powerful message to the congregation, reminding those in attendance that justice must be rooted in love.
We have to be lovers of justice. And that's for all of us. We have to love what is right. Secondly, friends, we must be lovers of people. In Mark chapter 10, verse 45, Jesus said, "For the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many." Meaning that Jesus, who is God, in love, humbled himself and came to earth to serve lowly us.
The rector encouraging those entrusted with the law to ground their work in compassion, reminding them that justice should always be guided by principle, not position. Members of the bar sharing their thoughts on the message, saying it's timely.
One thing that stood out to me is love and justice, because I'm an advocate for justice. And that is actually one of the reasons I went into the legal profession, to defend and to advocate and to ensure that justice is administered to those that are not able to defend them for themselves.
Attorneys also shared what they hope the new legal year will bring.
I think definitely, perhaps quicker delivery of rulings and so forth, but we're doing an excellent job so far. So
I would like to see more of the young attorneys have more training under the persons who were in the system longer so that they know how they should move and to move with integrity.
I hope that matters would be expedited and brought before the court more expeditiously, and that we may be able to have our judgments and our rulings delivered in a more timely fashion. But we do understand that the court calendar is back up for more reasons than one.
Attorney General Ryan Pinder, who was also in attendance, says efforts to strengthen the justice system remain ongoing.
We're working on a new penal code, which we think is going to be very impactful on criminal justice reform. The penal code stretches back to the 1920s with a lot of amendments, a lot of things removed, a lot of things added. And so we think it's important to have a new piece of legislation. We're also going to pass, with respect to criminal justice reform, a conditional release of offenders bill. That's a parole bill, which is going to allow those who are incarcerated to help acclimate back into society. We think it's a very important component of criminal rehabilitation.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Italia Hall.
Thanks, Italia. Well, officers from the Drug Enforcement Unit seizing a large quantity of suspected hydroponic marijuana in central New Providence sometime around midday Friday. According to reports, officers acting on intelligence proceeded to a specific location where they discovered and confiscated the suspected drugs from a building. The suspected marijuana has an estimated weight of 41 pounds and an estimated street value of approximately $82,000. No arrests were made, and police are appealing to members of the public who may have information that may assist to contact 911, 919, your nearest police station, or the Criminal Investigation Department. Thousands of Bahamians are still waiting for a chance at home ownership. As the cost of rent continues to rise, government says rent-to-own programs are a key part of its housing strategy. The Minister of Housing and Urban Development says demand continues to outpace supply, as he provided an update on government's plans. Our news anchor, Candido Knowles, has the story.
As it currently stands, we have in excess of 12,000 applications in the Ministry of Housing and Urban Renewal.
That statement by Housing Minister Keith Bell in December came as government faced tough questions about the Carmichael Village development, including concerns about governance, delivery, and whether families would ever receive keys. At the time, Bell insisted the project had moved beyond announcements and into real construction, with families already moving in. Now, speaking with reporters on Moores Island Friday, on the sidelines of a ceremony where hundreds of residents received long-awaited deeds to their land, Bell says delivery on government housing projects is continuing. He pointed to progress at Renaissance Subdivision in Carmichael, where construction has now moved into its later phases.
Our rent-owned buildings are well on its way to final construction. And so we hope, God's life, during the course of this year, to put at least the buildings going up to 12 families. There are 8 units, and we hope to put at least 96 families in those units.
Bell says rent-to-own units are also nearing completion, aimed at helping more Bahamians move from renting into home ownership.
We have met with the Ministry of Finance and the Honorable Prime Minister, and we have also met with the Inter-American Development Bank, who we anticipate is going to give us a very substantial loan during the course of this year, and you're going to see for which we're able to build a few thousand homes.
Meanwhile, the minister acknowledges that demand continues to outpace supply. And for a country where affordable housing has long fallen short of demand, Bell says the focus is now keeping projects moving and getting more keys in the hands of Bahamian families. Reporting for Our News, I'm Candido Knowles.
All right, thanks for that update, Candido. This Sunday, the untold story of Cable Bahamas will be told. Part 1 of a 3-part documentary will premiere at 8 p.m., telling the story of telecommunications transformation in the country. The docuseries shares the company's 30-plus year history, featuring those that know it best. And it gives viewers insight to the behind-the-scene details you may not have known. Producer Karel Pinder says the year-long process taught her interesting facts that many may not be aware of.
Going through the process, a lot of times I was like, this is like a mini masterclass, like learning about the telecommunications industry and the amount of money that passes through the telecommunications industry, also the amount of changes that happens. At one point, there was a certain amount of money that telecommunications made in long distance calls. But WhatsApp came along, and now all of that money that went through long distance calls had to come through another avenue. So just watching how they adapted, how they pivoted. I'm from Grand Bahama, so learning why did Grand Bahama have cable way before New Providence had cable? And what was the arrangement when it was time to bring Grand Bahama into the network of being under the Cable Bahamas umbrella? How did those negotiations go?
The docuseries will be streaming on the Our News and Rev YouTube pages. Pinder says she hopes audiences walk away with a truer understanding of Cable Bahamas' contributions to telecommunications.
I hope that when people watch this documentary, they will begin to appreciate a lot more the time, the investment, the leadership that went into what we see today as Cable Bahamas. like learning that Cable Bahamas used to own an international company in South Florida. That's something I never knew. And I think it's something that a lot of Bahamians don't know, because we think about foreigners coming to the Bahamas to own businesses. Well, this was a Bahamian company that owned a business in South Florida and was able to maximize on that when it was time to bid for the mobile license. And so all of that information, I think, helps Bahamians appreciate what it means to be in business, what it means to be in leadership, and what it means to take an idea and a concept to the next level.
When our news weekend comes back from the break, a local conservationist taking her passion to the next level, taking part in a year-long internationally facilitated program. We'll tell you how she plans to make an impact here at home. And later, how a teen talent competition turned out to be the opportunity of a lifetime. The Queen of Soca shares her story with our Danielle Miller when our news weekend returns.
When I started in telecommunications in 1998, I was bored and overwhelmed because I said, this is the best kept secret in the world.
The Bahamas issued a call for a cable license.
So we were a startup, a brand new entity in a brand new country with a product that nobody really understood.
People didn't believe, it was difficult. Ingram said that will never happen.
They turned us down, and Phil decided, you know what? Well, we're gonna chart our own destiny, and we're gonna build our own network.
Once you started to hear about cable TV, it really didn't make any difference because your reality was, okay, we're gonna have one more channel, and you didn't think it was going to have such an impact until you got it.
Meet Crystal Darling Sargent, a conservationist passionate about protecting our environment and passing on that love to the next generation. Darling Sargent recently completed the Community Leadership Institute and Practicum portions of a 2025 Community Solutions Program Fellowship. Here's her story. The Community Solutions Program supports the development of emerging leaders in the areas of energy and environment, peace and security, democracy and human rights, and women's empowerment. Conservationist Crystal Darling Sargent was chosen to be a part of a group of 65 people out of 12,000 applicants to participate in the year-long fellowship, and the only Bahamian. Her focus, energy, and the environment.
The program is multifaceted, so it has different parts. So I've completed the Community Leadership Institute course, which was an online course that I was doing from June to December, and I graduated in December 2025.
But there was also an in-person international experience as well.
In September, I went to Washington, D.C. To do my orientation for the U.S. Practicum, which is part of the program. And after orientation, I spent the next 3 months in Houston, Texas, where I was working with an organization called Art and Environmental Architecture Incorporated.
And the next phase for Darling Sargent, her community action plan, which she says has been in the works for the past 6 months.
So this year, I'm getting ready to launch the Aquamarine Project, which is a environmental based project that teaches children about the importance of conservation in the Bahamas, litter reduction, which is really, really important for us, the reduction of litter and pollution, and also the importance of our heritage and the oceans that are a part of our national heritage.
The longtime conservationist explains why this work is just so important to her and the environment around us.
I feel like there's a growing gap between our youth and our natural environment, and teaching children about these spaces and kind of unlocking their interest and their exploration will really help to preserve the culture, because it'll give them a sense of why they need to protect it and also help them to connect to it, right? Our oceans are very important, and that's like one of the key components of this. And I also want to teach children how to communicate about these precious natural resources that we have in our country.
Still to come on Our News Weekend, the power of soca and the story of the reigning queen, Allison Hinds, in the Capitol recently for a major event, and she took the time to share her story with our Danielle Miller. We'll share that story with you. But first,
the Bahamas national flag football teams land in Florida, and we get caught up with Friday Night Hoops. Our sports weekend is coming up next.
When I started in telecommunications in 1998, I was bored and overwhelmed because I said, this is the best kept secret in the world.
The Bahamas issued a call for a cable license.
So we were a startup, a brand new entity in a brand new country with a product that nobody really understood.
People didn't believe, it was difficult. Ingram said that will never happen.
They turned us down, and Phil decided, you know what? Well, we're gonna chart our own destiny, and we're gonna build our own network.
Once you started to hear about cable TV, it really didn't make any difference because your reality was, okay, we're gonna have one more channel, and you didn't think it was going to have such an impact until you got it.
Good evening, welcome to our sports weekend. I'm Tej Adderley. The Bahamas sent youth flag football teams in 3 divisions to the World Flag Football Championships this weekend. Here's what we know so far. The Bahamas Youth Flag Football League sent U9, U12, and U16 teams to the World Flag Championships in Tampa, Florida this weekend. The teams touched down in the Sunshine State, hoping to repeat their strong showings from years past, and they took to the field earlier today. The U9 team played the Winter Garden Bengals from Florida and Silverback Select out of Round Rock, Texas. U12 played the Lightning Legends out of Dover, Delaware, and then the Metro Tigers from Honolulu, Hawaii. And the U16 team played the Montreal Mavericks from Montreal, Quebec, Canada, and Triple Threat Gold out of Texas and Rockwall. Now, our teams have always had strong showings in the tournament, so we expect nothing less this year. We'll get those results to you tomorrow. Now we head to the court where Bahamian star and his team hit a rough patch. VJ Edgecombe and the Philadelphia 76ers lost their second straight game on their home court to the Cleveland Cavaliers 117-115. VJ had only 10 points in the loss, but they came on an ultra-efficient 4-of-5 shooting night. He also had 4 assists and 4 rebounds in the effort. Joel Embiid led the Sixers with 33 points. Jalen Tyson played a mind-blowing game for the Cavaliers, leading them to a win with 39 points. He also had the game-winning assist, driving and dishing to Evan Mobley with just under 5 seconds left for the final go-ahead bucket. The loss was the second out of the last Sixers' 4 games, but they have a great opportunity to get back on track on Monday when they play the last-place Indiana Pacers. And Klay Thompson and the Dallas Mavericks played early this afternoon. We'll talk about that and some other hoops on Sunday. That is a wrap for sports this evening. For our sports weekend, I'm Tej Adderley. I'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks so much, Tej. On the other side of this break, meteorologist Ian McKinsey steps into the weather center. He's got the answers on whether or not we can expect more chilly temperatures in the days ahead. Stick with us.
When I started in telecommunications in 1998, I was bored and overwhelmed because I said, this is the best kept secret in the world.
The Bahamas issued a call for a cable license.
So we were a startup, a brand new entity in a brand new country with a product that nobody really understood.
People didn't believe, it was difficult. Ingram said that will never happen.
They turned us down, and Phil decided, you know what? Well, we're gonna chart our own destiny, and we're gonna build our own network.
Once you started to hear about cable TV, it really didn't make any difference because your reality was, okay, we're going to have one more channel. And you didn't think it was going to have such an impact until you got it.
This is our news. Welcome back, everyone. Here's a look now at your Saturday evening forecast. We're currently outside our studios. We're under partly cloudy skies, a temperature of 73. Feels like the same. Winds from the east at 8 miles per hour. Across the northwest Bahamas, we have 67, the cool spot in Freeport, 73s in Marsh Harbor and the capital, 72 in Allison. Bimini, 74s in Nicholstown and Great Harbor Key, and 76 in Governor's Harbor, Luthra. Central Bahamas, 77s in Kemps Bay, as well as Arthurstown, Kid Island, and Coburn Towns in Salvador under some marine cool temperatures, 78s in Black Point, 79 in Deadman's Key and Port Nelson, and 76 in Georgetown, Exuma. Southeast Bahamas, we have 80 in Duncantown, as well as Providenciales, Turks and Caicos, a trio of 79s in Colonel Hill, Delectable Bay, and Matutang in Agua, 78 in Abrahams Bay, Miaguano. Taking a look now at our satellite and radar composite, where we have more clouds than normal across our area during this time of year. Down to the south, where we have a surface trough associated with a weak frontal system. Elsewhere to the north of us, we do have some prefrontal clouds associated with this frontal system across northern Florida that should push through the northwest Bahamas sometime late tomorrow, Sunday into early Monday. Should bring some breezy conditions and cooler temperatures in this week, but ahead of that, we expect some showers tomorrow. Taking a look now at a boating forecast across the northwest and central islands, we do have a caution in place. That is all courtesy of that high pressure system across our area. Winds will be east to southeast 10 to 15, getting up to 20 knots. Seas 2 to 4, but up to 7 feet, building tomorrow in those northeasterly swells. Low tide at 12:57 a.m. tomorrow morning, high tide at 7:23 a.m. tomorrow morning as well. In the southeast Bahamas, we have an advisory in place for you boaters, and yes, stay on shore. You swimmers, there's a high risk of rip currents. Winds will be east to southeast 15 to 25 knots, seas running 5 to 8 feet in those northeasterly swells. Here's a look now at your national forecast. In your extended forecast, as I mentioned earlier, we expect shower activity across the northwest Bahamas, all courtesy of an approaching frontal system. Should clear out Monday, breezy conditions in its way, cooler temperatures as well. That frontal system should stall just to the south of the capital, keeping rain chances across the area through midweek with winds as well. Then Thursday, Friday, another frontal system pushing through the area. We expect cooler temperatures into the weekend when we expect another frontal system by the end of the week. That's a wrap in evening forecast. Make it a great, safe, fun night, everyone.
Thanks, Ian. Well, members of the Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated Delta Epsilon Sigma chapter hosting an expungement breakfast clean slate 100 initiative on Hay Street recently. The initiative, which seeks to expunge the records of first-time offenders in the Bahamas for non-violent crimes, was part of activities held to celebrate their 112th Founders Day. Several institutions partnered with the fraternity on the program, including Eugene Dupuche Law School, the Rehabilitation of Offenders Committee, and the National Training Agency. The fraternity's social action chair, Kyle Higgs, telling the Our News team the program is a collaboration of parties coming together to give young men a better chance to get back on their feet.
Having a record, it limits what you can do. It limits the jobs that you can apply for. You know, you're lucky if you get a job, essentially, because a lot of employers will not take you with any offenses on your record.
Lamont Johnson was one of several taking advantage of the program as he is ready to move forward with his life. This not only includes gaining employment, but also enjoying simple things like traveling and spending time with family.
I had a clean police record, but 2 or 3 times they've been to the United States Embassy to get visa to travel. They've always denied me, you know what I mean? I don't know why, because I always told them I just wanted to travel, you know what I mean? I was working at the time and I'd saved up some money and wanted to go see my children over there, you know, but they denied me.
All right, well, Playhouse Entertainment holding their Back to the 90s event recently featuring Frisco Kid and the woman known as the Queen of Soca, Allison Hinds. Hinds, who has toured around the world, telling our Danielle Miller she never thought the girl who was tormented due to her heritage would grow up to be a cultural ambassador.
You couldn't have told me at that point in time, well, Allison, you're going to grow up to become the Queen of Soca. I'd be like, what do you mean? Like, first of all, what's soca?
a humble statement made by the woman known internationally as the Queen of Soca and cultural ambassador, Allison Hinds. Hinds recently visited the Bahamas to perform for Volume 12 of Playhouse's Back to the 90s party, along with Frisco Kid. Before the event, I spoke with Hinds at More 94 radio station, where she opened up about an issue many women struggle with: battling low self-esteem. Born to Caribbean parents in England, Hinds says she loved to sing at an early age, vividly reminiscing about her at-home performances. However, her isolated concerts, not just for entertainment, but used to escape racism.
I was made to feel like an outsider. I was made to feel, I felt like I was a minority. You felt it. Like I was not good enough. Like I didn't matter. And it wasn't that. It wasn't even anything to do with like my family. My family loved me. I had friends. But it was just that overall from society. Racism was extremely blatant and in your face. And I had experiences where I was just walking along the street and some white kid would just holler out a slur at me.
When her parents separated, she says that's when she discovered her identity.
Even though I didn't want my parents to split up, but when my mom took me to Barbados, I was happy. Like I felt home. I felt like, yeah, I belong here.
And that move introduced her to soca music. At 17, a local calypsonian, Anderson Armstrong, entered Hinds into the Richard Stout Teen Talent and Over 21 competition. She placed third, but won her spot in Armstrong's band, Square One. From there, the timid teen grew into the vivacious woman we see today.
What you see now, I was not that. I would be trembling with fear. Stand up in the middle of the stage and sing. That's all I could do.
From stages in the United States, the Caribbean, Asia, Africa, and more, music has taken Hinds around the world. But she said, most importantly, it's always transported her to her safe place.
Music, yes, has definitely always been my comfort zone. And it always will be.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Danielle Miller.
And with that, we thank you so much for joining us for Our News Weekend. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Megan Shepherd. Have a safe and wonderful evening. Hey guys, Megan Shepherd here. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to click that subscribe button if you want to see more content like this. Just click right over here. And don't forget to turn on your notifications so you stay up to date with content like this from the team you already trust.